Man, I had a flow. Drip that's water, call that boss. You try my squad and they gon' be in cost. You better be prepared to take a loss. I left my enemies dripping, but it ain't sauce. It ain't sauce, no it ain't sauce. Yeah, enemies dripping, but it ain't sauce. No it ain't sauce, no it ain't sauce. Yeah, enemies dripping, but it ain't sauce. It ain't sauce, it ain't sauce.
Hello people, it's your boy Austin, and welcome back to another video. And in today's video, I'm gonna be reviewing What If Season 2. So I'm gonna make this a quick one because I didn't start YouTube a long time ago, like right away when Season 1 came out. I'm gonna just give a quick synopsis. This video is gonna be quick anyway. I'm gonna keep saying it. I don't make long videos, so this is gonna be quick. I'm gonna give Season 1 a 9 out of 10. I really enjoyed Season 1. It was really only one episode I didn't enjoy, and that was the first episode with Captain Carter. That was really the only one where it was like a little boring, and I didn't like it that much. But outside of that, I gave the whole season a 9 out of 10. It was pretty good to me, pretty perfect. Excuse me. And for this one, and what I'm gonna start doing with most of my TV show reviews, I'm going to just do episode by episode. I'm going to just do a quick how I feel about each episode, and then I'm going to just go straight down to the final verdict. And also, there's not going to be a spoiler section. I mean, it's not really anything to spoil. I mean, if you don't want to get somewhat spoiled, then just go watch the show and then come back and watch this review, which is what you should have did anyway, but in a way, you should have done that anyway, but you also want to know if it's actually good or not. So, yeah. But if you don't want to get like somewhat spoiled, then leave, come back, watch the video. But I'm going to get into it now. So, I'm going to start with episode 1. Episode 1, and I have my notes. Episode 1 involves Nova Prime recruiting Nebula. The first episode is Nebula joins the Nova Corps. Now, here was my first thing. I felt as though the show makes what ifs episode, like their what ifs are not really what ifs that people really want or ask for. Or at least for me. Like I would rather I feel like the what if should be somewhat based, like in this scenario, I feel like it should be somewhat based off of what fans want, like what fans would want, because you're doing what ifs on stuff that aren't really like. Now, don't get me wrong, there are some what ifs in this series and that I'm like, okay, they're like really good. They're really good, even though I didn't ask for them. Like they're really good, or I wouldn't want them. They are like really good, but then there's somewhere it's like I don't care. Like, I don't really, this isn't a what if theory that I would want. Like, a what if theory for me would be like, oh, what if Thanos won again in Endgame? What if Thanos won again in Endgame? Or what if the Avengers won in Infinity War? Like, stuff like that. It would be, I feel like those are actual what ifs that people would want to see. I don't really want to know, like with this first episode where what if Nebula joins the Nova Corps. And just like Season 1, I didn't like the first episode. I don't like the first episode of Season 2. I mean, it's okay. It's an okay episode. It's basically, let me go back to my notes. Yeah, Nebula basically discovers Yondu's body and trying to recover Nova Prime. Trying to recover certain artifacts from the Nova Prime, and then she goes on an investigation and she teams up with people like Howard the Duck, and they go on this epic adventure. So basically, it's almost like another version of Guardians of the Galaxy, except Nebula is a good guy at the beginning, and she's with Nova Corps. That's pretty much it. Like I said, I mean, if I'm gonna rate that first episode, I'm gonna give it like a 5 out of 10. I'm gonna give that first episode like a 5 out of 10. I mean, it's okay. it's not bad, it's not terrible, but it's not. If I was to go back and watch it, I would skip that episode. I would not. That's not an episode that I genuinely would like view. I would just skip it and just keep on moving. So that's it for that's my quickie on that one. Episode 2. Episode 2 is what if Peter Quill attacked Earth's mightiest heroes. I'm gonna also talk about what episodes I think are really, really good. I think are the best episodes of the season. I personally think episode 2 is the best, one of the best in my opinion. I think it's one of the best. I'm gonna just say for the first season, I feel like the best episode. I've really liked almost every episode after episode 1, but the best ones is definitely the zombies episode for season 1, and then I would say what if the world lost its mightiest heroes. That was a very interesting episode. I feel like those were like 2 of the best. And I think like another one would have been like, what if Killmonger saved Iron Man? But for this one, for season 2, I think this episode is really good. At first I thought it wasn't going to be good, but as it kept going, it actually became very interesting. I was very intrigued. We almost got like a pre-Avengers, like, and they're trying to stop Peter Quill. So not really Nick Fury. Like this is like before Nick Fury. It takes place in 1988, and Peter Quill is sent back to Earth because in this universe, in this version, he doesn't join the Guardians, and he has Eagle's powers, his father, and he becomes somewhat evil. At least they think he's evil, and then it's up to the pre-Avengers. That's what I'm gonna call them. So the pre-Avengers would be, let me see, King T'Chaka, an older Peggy Carter, an older Bucky Barnes. No, not older Bucky Barnes. What we'll say Winter Soldier. The original Ant-Man, Hank Pym, and then Thor to come and stop Peter Quill. And once they figure out that Peter Quill actually isn't a bad guy and it's his father manipulating him, Peter Quill joins the pre-Avengers and they stop Ego. Yeah, this episode is really, really fun. I really like it. It has great action, great moments, great heartfelt moments when Hank Pym tries to talk to Peter Quill about making the right decisions and making the right choices, and him eventually helping to stop his father. Yeah, it was really good. I really enjoyed it. I have no issues with this episode. This episode is pretty perfect for me. I would give this episode this episode is like a 9 for me. This is one of the episodes where I actually would go back and watch it. Like I would watch this episode again, or I would want the story to keep on going. So yeah, that's definitely an episode I would go back and visit. All right, episode 3. This is what if Happy Hogan saved Christmas. This is another one where I'm like, I'm pretty shocked that this is entertaining. So this is one of the very few ones in this season because I think this is the only episode where it actually involves like Christmas, like heavy Christmas. Yeah, so basically this takes place I'm assuming it takes place a little bit after Age of Ultron, like a little bit after Age of Ultron, and no, it doesn't. It takes place a little bit before Age of Ultron. My bad, because Hulk will be gone by that point. So a little bit after the first Avengers. So basically, or you know what? We're not even going to say that. I'm going to just say in this universe, Bruce Banner didn't go to Ragnarok. He didn't go that whole Ragnarok stuff didn't happen. So the Avengers are planning a Christmas party at Avengers Tower, and Happy Hogan and Maria Hill are in charge of setting parts of it up. And a villain, let me see, what's his name again? Justin Hammer from Iron Man 2, a villain that I thought we would never see again, except when I'll go and watch Iron Man 2, has come back and is seeking revenge on Tony and the Avengers. and trying to take over the tower. And it's up to Hogan to Happy to stop him. And the episode is actually very funny, and it is actually a lot of slapstick, and it's actually pretty entertaining. Excuse me. Eventually, because Happy Hogan gets turned into like a purple version of the Hulk, and because Justin Hammer is trying to get like parts of the Hulk formula and also get part of Iron Man stuff so he can be ultra powerful. And then while trying to stop him, Happy gets injected with the Hulk formula, a Hulk formula that is using to help Bruce Banner. It actually causes him to change slowly into the Hulk, and eventually he ends up fighting Justin Hammer as Justin Hammer takes the Hulk control of the Hulkbuster and all of Tony's tech, and then the Hulk, I'm gonna say Hogan Hulk or Hulk Hogan, they fight. They have a fight, and then eventually the Avengers come. They defeat him. They almost try to fight Happy, but then they realize Happy that the Purple Hulk is Happy, and then that's pretty much how it is. So yeah, this episode is pretty good for me. I don't think it's like over the top or nothing. I don't like it as much as episode 2, but for me it gets like I give it a solid 8. I give it a solid 8 out of 10. It's not bad. I liked it. It was. I would get whenever Christmas comes back around, that's the episode. I would just be like, okay, we can play this episode. Why not? Okay, let's see. Episode 4. What if Iron Man crashed into the Grandmaster? So this episode is actually really cool too. This episode I feel is just on par with episode. Sorry, it's just on par with episode 2. This is basically like Iron Man Ragnarok. So basically, after Iron Man, and another, of course, of what if Iron Man doesn't, when Iron Man goes up and destroys all of the Chitauri, instead of him falling down in the Avengers 1, he just stayed, he gets sent to the world where Hulk got sent, and then in that he takes a part in the same stuff that Thor and Hulk went through. Except this time Iron Man tries to escape, and Gamora is still working with Thanos, and Gamora is trying to kill him in the process. And this episode was like really fun, especially once we get to like the race, and you have you basically have the Grandmaster racing against Tony, and Tony has like this cool Hulkbuster suit that can turn into a car, that can turn into a mini Iron Man suit, then it changes into a big mech suit like normal. Yeah, and then he ends up winning, and then Valkyrie takes over all of the Grandmaster stuff, and the Grandmaster ends up losing, and then Iron Man tries to go back home, but at the end Gamora basically gets on the ship that Iron Man was going to use to go back home. But then after that, they go see Thanos, and Gamora is planning to kill Thanos. And then it does like a cliffhanger, and then it leaves it with that. But yeah, this episode was really fun. I really enjoyed. This is one I definitely recommend. This one and these are the two I would say probably are my top 2. Like my top 2, like just like with Zombie and the Avengers one, these are like my 2 favorite. I would definitely give this episode a 9 out of 10. I definitely recommend it. I would definitely go back and watch this episode. This is definitely one of the episodes I would go back and watch. Let's see. That was episode 4. Episode 5. What if Captain Carter fought the Hydra Stomper? Now, just like with I said the last episode 4, where it was basically Thor Ragnarok, this episode is basically just Captain America and the Winter Soldier. But instead, it's almost because it's literally the first in episode 1 of season 1, that was Captain America 1, the first Avenger. It's set, you have Peggy. Now this one you have the Winter Soldier, you have the Winter Soldier, but instead you have the Hydra Stomper, who is in fact Steve Rogers, who was technically playing the Bucky role in that first What If episode. So here he's basically filling the Winter Soldier, and he becomes evil, and it's up to Peggy and Black Widow. It's basically like the exact same premise. I kid you not. And they're stopping Hydra from taking over, and the Winter Soldier is their main, or the Hydra Stomper is their main gun. And the same events basically play out, and then eventually the Hydra Stomper, except in this one at the end, the Hydra Stomper basically just stops. Steve Rogers stops and is able to gather himself, like in a way like Bucky did, but instead he sacrifices himself and blows up the Hydra. That I'm gonna say the big Hydra helicarrier, and then that's how it ends with Peggy going to like some type of medieval world, and this is where like the rest of these like adventures start to really like become a story about Peggy. Like after this, like the episodes are starting to become like Peggy's character arc and her story. But yeah, this episode was pretty cool, and it wasn't bad. It was basically Captain America Winter Soldier, but unlike like with the one with Tony, like the last episode where it was like they pretty much it's like really different. This one basically just for me it just plays just like Winter Soldier. It's just you made Steve Rogers Winter Soldier, and then you just made Peggy Captain America, like Peggy is Captain America, and then everything just plays out the same. She even has the stealth suit, but it's just it's her version of it. So it's basically the same thing. It's like there's really no difference. No difference. But I give this episode like a 7 out of 10. I would watch it. Possibly watch it again. It wasn't bad, but wasn't great either. So on to episode 6. What if Kahori reshaped the world? This is Kahori is like a new character. I don't want to get it wrong, but she's a Native American. I hope I'm right. She's a new Native American. I think this is our first introduction to a Native American superhero. I'm not going to go too hard on this episode, but I didn't really like it. It was okay. It was literally after Surtar destroys. Let me read what it says. After Surtar destroys Asgard during Ragnarok, the Tesseract crash lands in a lake in the Confederacy in pre-colonial America, given its magical properties. After numerous tribespeople disappear while interacting with it, it becomes known as the Forbidden Lake. In the lake, 15th century young Mohawk siblings Kahari and Wata are hunted by Spanish conquistors, and while doing this, touching the lake, and then while hiding inside a cave, Wata is captured and teleport, and Kahari is shot, causing her to fall into the Forbidden Lake, and then she inherits the powers. And Kahari herself is a cool character. I thought Kahari herself was a very cool character. I love her abilities. Her abilities are really cool. She kind of has like almost like a kinetic energy, but not a kinetic energy. So she has like super speed. She can manipulate people. She can control people. She can create shields. She can throw blasts. Like she can do like a little bit of everything. Pretty much a little bit of everything. Her as a character and her powers are really cool. Like her character arc and her character was good. I just didn't really like the story that was really around it. It was kind of boring. It wasn't really fun for me. It was just her as a character. So it was almost like an origin story, and Kahari's basically just trying to protect her village from an outside villages. And so for me, I would pretty much say, if I'm just rating Kahari as like this new character, for me, I would say she's like a 9. She's like a 9. But as for like the episode, I give it like a 5. I give it like a 6. Like a 6. This isn't really a what if episode that I wanted. This would be more because we never really seen Kahari, so they're giving us a what if scenario. Because there's like, what if she reshaped the world? So she's basically reshaping stuff how she would want it to be after she destroys certain villages. So I would have rather we just gotten a story about Kahari and then we got like an episode like this. But either way, this isn't something I actually would have wanted. It's not an episode I really would have wanted. Same thing with the Winter Soldier episode. I like that they made a sequel to the first Captain, the first, like how they did with the first Peggy episode, and they're kind of like keeping it going. I wonder if they're going to even do like a Civil War interpretation. But me personally, these two aren't really episodes I wanted or really care for or needed. But Kahari as a character, I thought was really, really cool. So Kahari gets a 9, but the episode I give it like a 6. Now, for this episode, what if Hela found the 10 rings? This is an episode where I'm just like, this is not anything I really cared about. I never wanted I never really thought what if Hela became a good guy or what if she done anything else differently. So basically Hela literally just takes the entire place of Thor, and she eventually gets banished to the human world. So Hela, most of the episodes are just re-spinning off the movies. They're just basically just completely re-spinning off the movie. Where I felt like in season 1, most of the episodes were actually like new stuff, like different stuff. Like they show parts of the movies, but they were really their own thing. This one really just felt like we were just doing the same stuff, but we're swapping out like the characters. Yeah, and we're just adding, but because really Hela basically goes through the same thing Thor did in his first movie. So she gets banished for being too arrogant and cocky, and then she gets sent and loses her powers, and then she has to earn it back, and then she eventually beats, even though in Thor's story he didn't have to fight his father, but Hela has to fight Odin, and then she gets her powers back, and in this she's a good guy, and she's meeting with Shang-Chi's father, who has the 10 rings, and she learns how to do the same. She basically, and then it's like, so like the whole beginning part is like Thor's story, and then it has like parts of Ragnarok because Odin destroys the hammer instead of Hela destroying the hammer. And then like towards the end, we get like into Shang-Chi territories, and it's like a whole battle between Hela and her father, and Hela and Shang-Chi's father against Odin. And though it was entertaining, it was the fight scenes were entertaining. The overall story for me wasn't. Like I didn't really care that much about this. This was another one where I'm like, I don't really. Hela isn't really. This isn't really something I wanted. Like I didn't care that much to see this. This was okay. It was okay, but this isn't like this wasn't something I would want in a what if. I feel like we could have substituted this episode with something different or something better. But this episode for me also gets like a 6 out of 10. Like a 6 out of 10. It's okay. It's not terrible, but it's not an episode that I would go back and watch. Let's see. What do we have next? What if the Avengers assembled in 1602? So basically, this is when Captain Carter goes to. We see what happens. So Captain Carter, at the end of the other episode, we see Scarlet Witch and a variant of Nick Fury and a variant of Thor have brought her here to help stop a war. Excuse me. And after arriving, let me read my notes. After arriving in the Renaissance theme universe, Captain Carter agrees to help Wanda, Merlin, and Sir, because they're like in the medieval times, Sir Nicholas Fury to stop an impending incursion. She saves Prince Loki from being pulled into a tear, but fails to save Queen Hela and is hunted by Sir Harold the Happy Hogan under the new King Thor's orders. So Happy Hogan is one of the main guards for King Thor, and he still has the Hulk abilities. Yep, he still has the Hulk abilities, and they're going on like a battle. And let me see. And then they're going on an adventure to look for Tony Stark, who can make a device to identify the Forerunner using the time stone and Thor's scepter. And by the end, we found out that Captain America is the Forerunner, and he eventually sets everything straight in the world and sets peace and fixes all the problems. And then Captain Carter gets somewhat, she's kind of is like stuck in there, but she's kind of like stuck in medieval times in a way, but it's not really like explained, at least from what I saw. And like the Watcher and Peggy are able to actually talk to each other. So this episode is okay. It's all right. It's not terrible. I don't hate it. I mean, it's whatever. Like I enjoy, once again, I enjoy the fight scenes. All the fight scenes in the episodes are good. Like it was, yeah, it wasn't bad. Like I really enjoyed the fight scenes. The story was somewhat all over the place at times and a little bit confusing, but overall, it was okay. I would give this episode like a 7 out of 10. A 7 out of 10. It's okay, not bad. And then for this last episode, because like I said, like 3 or 4 of these episodes are like connecting Peggy Carter to like this big climactic battle. So the last episode is what if Strange Supreme intervenes? So basically, let's read here. Strange Supreme takes Captain Carter to his sanctum Infinium, where he reveals that he has been capturing universe killers to atone for his sins. Asks for help in capturing an escaped variant who fled to the universe where Hydra used the Tesseract to destroy the world. Carter agrees and encounters Kahori, who reveals Strange has been capturing variants to feed the Forge, a contraption he built to resurrect his lost universe. And so, with that, this episode, it's just a mind fuck. Like it just, after like me reading that doesn't sound complicated, but when you watch episode, it literally just goes all over the place, and it's just a bunch of like mindless fighting and mindless battles. Peggy gains the Infinity Stone. She gets powers. Kahari gains multiple powers. Doctor Strange turns into a dragon, and then a kaiju monster. Like it's just stuff just happening, and then like by the end, like Doctor Strange comes through his senses and then sacrifices himself and then fixes his universe. But when fixing his universe, he had to delete himself. So, and the Watcher is watching them and talking and guiding them through Captain Carter through all of this. This episode is kind of for me, it's between a 6 and a 7. It was okay. Like I said, the action scenes were pretty cool, but it just gets all over the place, and it's just so much going on that just doesn't make sense to me. And for me, I give it's between a 6 and a 7. I can't really decide, but I might go with a 7. I'm gonna probably go with a 7. Yeah, that would probably be best. So that's pretty much it for all the episodes. Overall, I do my favorite episodes was definitely, let me see real quick. I think it was 2 and 3. Yeah, 2 and 3. Yep. What if Peter Quill attacked Earth's Mightiest Heroes, and what if Happy Hogan? No. What if Iron Man 2 and 4? What if Iron Man crashed into the Grandmaster? Actually, 2, 3, 4. Those are my favorites. Those are my favorite ones. The 3 was really the only one that really kept the home like Christmas spirit, because I really thought these were going to be Christmas heavy episodes, but it doesn't take away from the score. But yeah, those are the best 3. The rest of them were either or they could have done more, or we could have just had different what ifs or better what if scenarios. But yeah, overall for like this season, I don't think it's better than the first season. I think that first season was way better, especially with the zombie episode and the Avengers episode. But for this season, I give it an 8. I give it an 8 out of 10. It's not terrible. It's still a great watch. I definitely recommend it. You watch it and form your own opinion on it. But I give it an 8 out of 10, and I do think the first season is better. But that's pretty much it for that. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I will catch y'all on the next one. Peace.